The rain hammered against the tall windows of Kensington Palace as Security Chief Marcus Thompson walked down the marble hallway. His black shoes made soft clicking sounds on the polished floor. At 42 years old, Marcus had spent 15 years protecting members of the royal family. Tonight felt different. Something was wrong. Marcus stopped at the heavy oak door leading to the east wing. Princess Catherine was inside her private study, working on charity documents. He had been assigned to her personal security detail for 3 years now. In that time, he had grown to respect her kindness and dedication to helping others. As Marcus reached for his radio to check in with his team, he heard voices coming from around the corner. He pressed himself against the wall and listened carefully. 2 people were talking in hushed tones. "The investigation must remain completely secret," said a woman's voice that Marcus recognized immediately. It belonged to Queen Camilla. "We cannot let Catherine discover what we're looking into." Marcus felt his heart rate increase. An investigation involving Princess Catherine? He had never heard about this through official channels. "Your Majesty, are you certain we should proceed without informing her security team?" asked another voice. Marcus recognized it as belonging to Sir David Worthington, one of the Queen's private secretaries. "Absolutely certain," Camilla replied firmly. "This matter is too sensitive. If Catherine learns about our inquiry, it could cause serious problems for the monarchy. We must handle this carefully and quietly." Marcus strained to hear more, but their voices were getting quieter as they moved away. He waited several minutes before stepping out from his hiding spot. His mind was racing with questions. What kind of investigation was happening? Why was it being kept secret from Catherine's security team? Walking back toward Catherine's study, Marcus felt torn. His duty was to protect the princess from all threats, but how could he protect her from something he didn't understand? And if the Queen was involved, did that make this an official royal matter? Marcus knocked gently on the study door and entered when Catherine called for him to come in. She was sitting at her desk, surrounded by papers and photographs from her recent visit to a children's hospital. "How are you feeling tonight, Your Royal Highness?" Marcus asked, using the formal address required by protocol. Catherine looked up and smiled. "Please, Marcus. You know you can call me Catherine when we're alone. I've told you this many times." She gestured to the papers on her desk. "I'm just reviewing these photos from yesterday's hospital visit. The children were so brave and inspiring." Marcus nodded, but his mind was still focused on the conversation he had overheard. Catherine noticed his distracted expression. "Is everything all right?" she asked with genuine concern. "You look worried about something." Marcus hesitated. Should he tell her what he had heard? His training told him to report any security concerns immediately, but this involved the Queen herself. He decided to probe carefully. "Have you heard about any new security protocols being implemented?" Marcus asked. "Any changes to your schedule or additional protection measures?" Catherine shook her head. "No, nothing like that. Why do you ask? Has there been some kind of threat?" Before Marcus could answer, his radio crackled with a message from the control room. "Chief Thompson, please report to the security office immediately. Priority 1. Marcus frowned. Priority 1 meant urgent. "I'll be right back, Your Royal Highness. Please remain in your study until I return." Catherine nodded, but Marcus could see the worry in her eyes. He hated leaving her without explanation, but he needed to find out what was happening. The security office was located in the basement of the palace. As Marcus descended the stairs, he met Jennifer Walsh, one of his most trusted officers. Jennifer was 28 years old and had been working palace security for 5 years. She was known for her attention to detail and loyalty. "Marcus, thank goodness you're here," Jennifer said urgently. "We've received some unusual requests from the Queen's office. They want access to all of Princess Catherine's movement logs from the past 6 months. Marcus stopped walking. "All of them?" "That's highly unusual. Did they provide a reason?" "No specific reason was given," Jennifer replied. "Just that it was for an internal review. But here's the strange part. They also requested that we not inform Princess Catherine's personal security team about the request." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. This confirmed his suspicions about the secret investigation. Who specifically made this request? Sir David Worthington, on behalf of Queen Camilla. He said it was urgent and confidential. Jennifer looked troubled. Marcus, this doesn't feel right. We're supposed to protect Princess Catherine, not spy on her movements for other people. Marcus made a quick decision. Jennifer, I need you to do something for me. Delay providing those movement logs. Tell them you need additional clearance or that there are technical issues accessing the files. Jennifer looked surprised. Are you sure? If this is a legitimate request from the Queen, I overheard something earlier. Marcus interrupted, lowering his voice. There's some kind of secret investigation happening involving Princess Catherine. She doesn't know about it, and I don't think it's in her best interests. Jennifer's eyes widened. What kind of investigation? I don't know yet. But until I can find out more, I want to protect her from whatever this is. Can I count on your support? Jennifer nodded without hesitation. Of course. Princess Catherine has always treated all of us with respect and kindness. If someone is trying to harm her, we need to protect her. Marcus felt grateful for Jennifer's loyalty. Good. Delay those records as long as possible. I'm going to try to learn more about what's really happening. As Marcus left the security office, his phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. The message was brief but alarming. Stop asking questions if you value your career. Marcus deleted the message immediately, but the threat was clear. Someone was watching him and didn't want him investigating further. This made him even more determined to protect Catherine. Returning to Catherine's study, Marcus found her still working at her desk. She looked up when he entered, and he could see the worry had not left her eyes. Is everything resolved? She asked. Just routine security matters, Marcus replied, not wanting to alarm her unnecessarily. Your Royal Highness, I'd like to suggest some additional precautions for the next few days. Catherine set down her pen and gave Marcus her full attention. What kind of precautions? I'd like to increase the number of security personnel assigned to your detail. Also, I think it would be wise to vary your daily routes and schedules to maintain unpredictability. Catherine looked puzzled. Marcus, that sounds like the kind of security measures used when there's a specific threat. Are you telling me everything? Marcus struggled with how much to reveal. Catherine was intelligent and perceptive. She would eventually figure out that something unusual was happening. There are some security concerns that we're investigating, Marcus said carefully. Until we have more information, I believe increased caution is appropriate. Catherine studied Marcus's face for a long moment. You're not telling me everything, are you? Before Marcus could respond, they heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Marcus quickly moved to the window and peered through the curtains. A black car was parked in the courtyard that he didn't recognize. Your Royal Highness, I need you to stay here and lock the door after I leave, Marcus said urgently. Don't open it for anyone except me or Jennifer Walsh. Catherine stood up quickly. Marcus, you're frightening me. What's happening? I'm not sure yet, but I promise I will find out. Please, just trust me and stay here. Marcus left Catherine's study and walked toward the main entrance to investigate the mysterious car. As he approached, he saw Sir David Worthington getting out of the vehicle, followed by two men Marcus didn't recognize. They were dressed in expensive suits but moved like security personnel. Sir David saw Marcus approaching and walked over to meet him. Chief Thompson, I need to speak with Princess Catherine immediately. I'm sorry, Sir David, but Princess Catherine is not available at the moment, Marcus replied formally. If you'd like to schedule an appointment— This is not a request for an appointment, Sir David interrupted. This is official business on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. Please step aside. Marcus didn't move. I'll need to see official authorization before I can allow access to Princess Catherine. Sir David's expression hardened. Chief Thompson, I suggest you reconsider your position. Refusing to cooperate with a direct request from the Queen's office could have serious consequences for your career. This was the second threat Marcus had received in less than an hour. It confirmed that he was on the right track in protecting Catherine from whatever was happening. I understand your position, Sir David, Marcus said calmly. However, my primary responsibility is the safety and security of Princess Catherine. Until I can verify the nature and authorization of this visit, I cannot grant access. One of the unknown men stepped forward. He was tall and muscular, with cold eyes that suggested he was used to getting his way through intimidation. Perhaps you didn't understand, the man said in a low voice. Sir David speaks for the Queen. You will cooperate or you will be removed from your position. Marcus felt his training kick in. He had dealt with threatening situations many times during his career. The key was to remain calm and assess all options. I'm sorry, but I don't recognize you or your authority, Marcus replied to the threatening man. If you have legitimate business with Princess Catherine, it will need to go through proper channels. Sir David pulled out his phone and made a quick call. Marcus could hear him speaking to someone but couldn't make out the words. After a brief conversation, Sir David hung up and turned back to Marcus. Chief Thompson, Queen Camilla herself has requested to speak with you. You will accompany us to her private office immediately. Marcus realized he was in a difficult position. Refusing a direct request from the Queen could indeed end his career. But he also sensed that Catherine was in some kind of danger that she wasn't aware of. Very well, Marcus said, but first I need to ensure Princess Catherine's security is maintained in my absence. Marcus called Jennifer on his radio and asked her to come to the main entrance immediately. When she arrived, Marcus spoke to her quietly. I'm being called away on urgent business, Marcus told Jennifer. I need you to personally ensure Princess Catherine's safety while I'm gone. Don't let anyone access her study without proper authorization that you can verify independently. Jennifer nodded, understanding the seriousness of the situation from Marcus's tone. As Marcus prepared to leave with Sir David and the two unknown men, he felt like he was walking into a trap. But he also knew that he was Princess Catherine's best hope of protection from whatever conspiracy was developing around her. The drive to Queen Camilla's private office was conducted in tense silence. Marcus used the time to think about everything he knew so far. There was a secret investigation involving Catherine that she didn't know about. Someone wanted access to her movement records, and now he was being summoned to meet with the Queen herself. Marcus had met Queen Camilla several times during his years of service, but always in formal ceremonial circumstances. This would be very different. He would need to be extremely careful about what he said and how he said it. The car pulled up to a discreet building that housed some of the royal family's private offices. Marcus had been here before, but never under these circumstances. As they walked toward the entrance, Marcus wondered if he was about to learn the truth about the investigation, or if he was walking into something much more dangerous. Sir David led Marcus through several corridors to a wood-paneled office. Queen Camilla was sitting behind a large desk, looking serious and formal. She gestured for Marcus to take a seat in the chair across from her. Chief Thompson, the Queen began, I understand you have some concerns about our current security review regarding Princess Catherine. Marcus chose his words carefully. Your Majesty, I am simply trying to ensure that all security protocols are properly followed. Of course, Queen Camilla replied. However, there are certain matters that require discretion and confidentiality. I'm sure you understand. Marcus nodded but didn't speak. He wanted to hear what the Queen would reveal before committing to any position. There have been some irregularities in Princess Catherine's recent activities that require investigation, the Queen continued. We need to review her movements and contacts to ensure there are no security risks. What kind of irregularities, Your Majesty? Marcus asked. Queen Camilla paused before answering. That information is classified. What I need from you is cooperation and discretion. Can I count on your loyalty to the crown? Marcus felt trapped. The Queen was asking for his loyalty, but she wasn't explaining what that loyalty would require him to do, and his instincts told him that Catherine was being targeted unfairly. Your Majesty, my loyalty to the crown includes my duty to protect Princess Catherine, Marcus said carefully. I would need to understand how this investigation serves that purpose. The Queen's expression hardened slightly. Chief Thompson, I'm not asking for your opinion on our security policies. I'm asking for your cooperation. Will you provide the information we've requested? This was the moment Marcus had been dreading. He would have to choose between following orders from the Queen and protecting Catherine from what he believed was an unjust investigation. Marcus took a deep breath before responding. Your Majesty, I respectfully request that Princess Catherine be informed of any investigation involving her activities. Transparency is essential for proper security. The silence in the room was deafening. Marcus could feel the tension rising as Queen Camilla processed his response. He had essentially refused her request and challenged her authority. Chief Thompson, the Queen said slowly, I think there has been a misunderstanding about your role and responsibilities. Perhaps it's time for a change in Princess Catherine's security arrangements. This was the threat Marcus had been expecting. His job was being put at risk because he wouldn't cooperate with the secret investigation. But he also realized that if he was removed from Catherine's security detail, she would be even more vulnerable. "Your Majesty," Marcus said, "I have served the royal family faithfully for 15 years. My only goal is to protect Princess Catherine from any harm. If there are legitimate security concerns, I believe the best approach is open communication and proper protocols." Queen Camilla stood up from her desk, indicating that the meeting was over. "Chief Thompson, you will have 48 hours to reconsider your position. I suggest you think carefully about the consequences of your choices." As Marcus was escorted out of the building, he realized that the situation was even more serious than he had initially thought. Not only was there a secret investigation targeting Catherine, but his own position was now in jeopardy, because he had tried to protect her. The drive back to Kensington Palace gave Marcus time to plan his next moves. He had 48 hours to figure out how to protect Catherine, while also protecting his own ability to continue helping her. It was a complex puzzle with high stakes for everyone involved. When Marcus returned to the palace, he went straight to Catherine's study. Jennifer was standing guard outside the door, and she looked relieved to see him. "How did it go?" Jennifer asked quietly. "Not well," Marcus replied. "We may have bigger problems than I thought. Is Princess Catherine still in her study?" Jennifer nodded. Marcus knocked on the door and entered when Catherine called for him to come in. "Marcus, I was so worried," Catherine said, standing up from her desk. "You were gone for hours. What's happening?" Marcus looked at Catherine's concerned face and made a decision that would change everything. He was going to tell her the truth about the secret investigation. She deserved to know what was happening, and she needed to be prepared to protect herself. "Your Royal Highness," Marcus said, "I need to tell you something very important, and I need you to trust me completely." Catherine nodded, sensing the seriousness of the moment. "There is a secret investigation being conducted into your recent activities," Marcus continued. "Queen Camilla is leading it, and they don't want you to know about it." Catherine's face went pale. "An investigation? Into what?" "I don't have all the details yet," Marcus admitted. "But they've requested access to all your movement records from the past 6 months, and they specifically asked that your security team not be informed." Catherine sat down heavily in her chair. "I don't understand. What could they possibly be investigating? I haven't done anything wrong." "I believe you," Marcus said immediately. "But someone thinks there's a problem, and they're going about it in a way that suggests they have ulterior motives." Catherine was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady and determined. "What do we do now?" Marcus felt a surge of admiration for Catherine's composure under pressure. "We need to be very careful. I've been told to cooperate with the investigation or face the consequences. But I think they're planning something that could harm your reputation or position." "So you're risking your career to warn me," Catherine said softly. "Yes," Marcus replied without hesitation. "Because protecting you is more important than protecting my job." Catherine stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the dark courtyard. "Marcus, I need you to find out exactly what they're investigating. If there's some misunderstanding or false accusation, we need to know about it so we can address it properly." "That could be dangerous," Marcus warned. "They've already threatened my position for asking too many questions." Catherine turned back to face Marcus. "Then we'll have to be smarter than they are. I won't let them destroy me with false accusations or secret investigations." As Marcus looked at Catherine's determined expression, he realized that she was stronger and more resourceful than most people knew. Together, they might be able to uncover the truth about the investigation and protect her from whatever damage was intended. But Marcus also knew that they were up against powerful forces with significant resources. The next 48 hours would be crucial in determining whether they could successfully fight back against the conspiracy that seemed to be developing around Catherine. The rain had stopped, but storm clouds were still gathering on the horizon. Marcus felt like those clouds were a metaphor for the challenges they would face in the days ahead. But he was committed to standing by Catherine's side, no matter what dangers lay ahead. As the night grew later, Marcus and Catherine began planning their strategy for uncovering the truth about the secret investigation. Neither of them knew exactly what they were up against, but both were determined to fight for justice and truth. The battle for Catherine's reputation and future was just beginning. The next morning arrived with gray clouds hanging low over London. Marcus had barely slept, his mind racing with plans and possibilities. He arrived at Kensington Palace 2 hours early, wanting to check all security systems before Catherine woke up. As Marcus walked through the palace corridors, he noticed something unusual. There were new faces among the cleaning staff. In 15 years of palace security, Marcus had learned to recognize everyone who worked in the building. These people were strangers. Marcus approached one of the new cleaners, a middle-aged woman with short brown hair. "Excuse me," he said politely. "I don't think we've met. I'm Chief Thompson, head of security." The woman looked nervous. "Oh, hello. I'm Sarah Martinez. I just started working here yesterday." "Yesterday?" Marcus frowned. New staff usually went through weeks of security clearance before being allowed in the palace. "Who hired you?" "The Queen's office," Sarah replied quickly. "They said there was an urgent need for additional cleaning staff." Marcus felt alarm bells going off in his head. More changes happening without his knowledge. "I see. Well, welcome to the team. I'll need to verify your clearance with our personnel office." Sarah nodded but looked even more nervous. As Marcus walked away, he made a mental note to investigate the new staff members immediately. Marcus's radio crackled with a message from Jennifer. "Chief, we have a problem. Can you meet me in the security office right away?" When Marcus arrived at the security office, he found Jennifer looking at multiple computer screens with a troubled expression. "What's the situation?" Marcus asked. Jennifer pointed to one of the monitors. "I've been monitoring communications as you requested. Look at this." On the screen was an encrypted message that Jennifer had managed to decode. It read, "Phase 2 begins today. Maintain surveillance on CT activities. Report any anomalies immediately." Marcus stared at the message. CT could mean Catherine. "Do we know who sent this?" "That's the problem," Jennifer replied. "It came from inside the palace communication system. Someone with high-level access is coordinating surveillance activities." Marcus felt his stomach drop. The investigation wasn't just about reviewing Catherine's past activities. They were actively monitoring her right now. "Jennifer, I need you to do something that might get us both in trouble," Marcus said. "Can you trace who has been accessing Catherine's personal communication records?" Jennifer hesitated. "Marcus, accessing those systems without authorization could be considered a serious breach. If we're caught..." "I know the risks," Marcus interrupted, "but we need to know what we're up against. Catherine deserves to know if someone is spying on her private communications." Jennifer nodded and began typing commands into her computer. After several minutes, she pulled up a list of access logs. "Oh my God," Jennifer whispered as she read the screen. "Marcus, look at this." The logs showed that Catherine's emails, phone records, and text messages had been accessed multiple times over the past 2 weeks. The access came from accounts belonging to Queen Camilla's private office. "They've been reading everything," Marcus said grimly. "Every personal message, every private conversation." "There's more," Jennifer said, clicking to another screen. "They've also been monitoring her location using her phone's GPS. They know everywhere she's been and everyone she's met with." Marcus felt anger building inside him. This wasn't a legitimate security investigation. This was a complete invasion of Catherine's privacy. "Print copies of all these logs," Marcus instructed. "We need evidence of what they're doing." As Jennifer worked to print the documents, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Catherine. "Can you come to my study immediately? Something strange has happened." Marcus hurried to Catherine's study, where he found her holding a newspaper with a troubled expression. "Marcus, look at this," Catherine said, handing him the newspaper. The headline read, "Palace Sources Question, Princess Catherine's Recent Activities." The article was full of vague allegations and anonymous quotes, suggesting that Catherine had been meeting with inappropriate people and making questionable decisions. "This is lies," Catherine said with anger in her voice. "Everything in this article is either completely false or twisted to sound suspicious. They're trying to damage my reputation." Marcus read through the article carefully. Many of the details mentioned could only have come from someone with access to Catherine's private schedule and communications. "Your Royal Highness, this confirms what we suspected. Someone is using information from the investigation to plant negative stories in the media." Catherine walked to her window and looked out at the courtyard. Marcus, I've been thinking about this all night. I believe I know what this might be about. What do you mean? Catherine turned back to face Marcus. 3 weeks ago, I had a private meeting with several children's charity organizations. We discussed some concerns about how royal charity funds were being managed. I expressed some questions about financial oversight. Marcus felt pieces of a puzzle starting to come together. Who else knew about this meeting? Only a few people, Catherine replied, but I did send a formal letter to the Queen's office asking for a review of charity fund management procedures. That could be it, Marcus said. If there are financial irregularities in the charity funds, your questions might have threatened someone's interests. Catherine nodded. I think someone wants to discredit me before I can push for a full financial investigation. Marcus's radio crackled with an urgent message from Jennifer. Chief, you need to get back here immediately. We have visitors. Marcus and Catherine looked at each other with alarm. Stay here and lock the door, Marcus told Catherine. I'll be back as soon as I can. When Marcus arrived at the security office, he found Jennifer talking to 2 people in expensive suits. They showed Marcus official identification from the Royal Protection Command. Chief Thompson, said the taller of the 2 men. I'm Inspector Richards from Royal Protection Command. We're here to conduct an immediate security audit of Princess Catherine's protection detail. Marcus was surprised. Royal Protection Command normally coordinated with local security before conducting any audits. I wasn't notified of any scheduled audit, Marcus said carefully. This is an unscheduled audit based on recent security concerns, Inspector Richards replied. We'll need access to all security files and personnel records immediately. Marcus realized this was another part of the investigation. They were looking for ways to remove him and Jennifer from their positions. Of course, Marcus said. Jennifer will provide you with whatever you need. I just ask that you coordinate with me so we can maintain proper security protocols. Inspector Richards nodded, but Marcus could see suspicion in his eyes. As the 2 inspectors began reviewing files with Jennifer, Marcus stepped outside to call a trusted contact. Marcus dialed the number of Robert Chen, a former palace security officer, who now worked as a private investigator. Robert had helped Marcus with sensitive situations before. Robert, it's Marcus. I need your help with something urgent and confidential. What's going on? Robert asked. Marcus explained the situation in general terms, being careful not to mention specific names over an unsecured phone line. It sounds like you're dealing with a coordinated campaign, Robert said after listening. These things don't happen by accident. Someone with significant resources and connections is orchestrating this. Can you help me investigate? Marcus asked. I can do some discreet research, Robert replied. But Marcus, be very careful. If powerful people are involved, this could get dangerous quickly. After ending the call with Robert, Marcus returned to the security office. The inspectors from Royal Protection Command were still reviewing files, and Jennifer looked stressed. Chief, Inspector Richards said as Marcus entered, we need to speak with you privately. Marcus followed the inspector to a small conference room. Inspector Richards closed the door and turned to face Marcus with a serious expression. Chief Thompson, we've received reports that you may have been acting outside your authority regarding Princess Catherine's security arrangements. Marcus felt his heart rate increase, but he kept his voice calm. Can you be more specific about these reports? There are allegations that you've been restricting access to Princess Catherine without proper authorization, and that you've been asking questions about matters outside your jurisdiction. Marcus realized he was being formally accused of misconduct. This was another step in the plan to remove him from Catherine's protection detail. Inspector Richards, I can assure you that all my actions have been focused on protecting Princess Catherine's safety and security. If there are specific concerns, I'm happy to address them. Inspector Richards opened a folder and pulled out several documents. We have statements from palace staff indicating that you've been behaving suspiciously and asking unusual questions about internal matters. As Marcus looked at the documents, he recognized the signatures. They were from some of the new cleaning staff he had noticed that morning, the people who had been hired by the Queen's office without his knowledge. Inspector, I believe these statements may be fabricated or influenced, Marcus said carefully. The people who signed them are new employees who don't have sufficient knowledge of normal security procedures to make accurate assessments. Inspector Richards raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting that palace staff are lying? Marcus was walking into a trap, but he had to defend himself. I'm suggesting that new employees might not understand standard security protocols and could misinterpret routine security measures. I see, Inspector Richards said, making notes in his folder. Chief Thompson, pending the completion of this audit, you're being temporarily suspended from your duties regarding Princess Catherine's security detail. Marcus felt like he had been punched in the stomach. This was exactly what he had feared. Without him there to protect Catherine, she would be completely vulnerable to whatever they had planned. Inspector, I respectfully request that this suspension be postponed until proper procedures can be followed. Princess Catherine's safety could be compromised by sudden changes in her security arrangements. That decision has already been made, Inspector Richards replied. Officer Walsh will assume temporary responsibility for Princess Catherine's security until a new chief is assigned. Marcus realized that Jennifer would now be under enormous pressure to cooperate with the investigation. He hoped she would be able to resist, but he couldn't blame her if she chose to protect her own career. As Marcus cleaned out his desk in the security office, Jennifer approached him quietly. Marcus, I'm so sorry, she whispered. I tried to defend you, but they had documentation for everything. It's not your fault, Marcus replied. Just remember what we talked about. Princess Catherine needs protection now more than ever. Jennifer nodded. I'll do everything I can. Marcus left Kensington Palace that afternoon, feeling like he had failed in his most important responsibility. But he wasn't giving up. If he couldn't protect Catherine from inside the palace, he would have to find other ways to help her. That evening, Marcus met Robert Chen at a quiet restaurant in central London. Robert had already begun his investigation and had disturbing news to share. Marcus, this goes deeper than we thought, Robert said quietly. I found evidence that suggests this campaign against Princess Catherine has been in planning for months. What kind of evidence? Robert pulled out a folder containing photographs and documents, financial records showing payments to several media organizations for negative coverage, communications between certain palace officials and external investigators. This is a coordinated effort to destroy Catherine's reputation. Marcus studied the documents. The evidence was overwhelming. Someone had spent considerable time and money setting up this attack on Catherine. Do we know who's behind it? Marcus asked. That's the million-dollar question, Robert replied. The money trail is complex, but it appears to involve several high-level palace officials and some external financial interests. Financial interests? Companies that have contracts with royal charities, Robert explained. If Catherine succeeded in getting a financial investigation, some people could lose very lucrative contracts. Marcus began to understand the full scope of what they were dealing with. This wasn't just about personal animosity toward Catherine. It was about protecting financial corruption that could involve millions of dollars. Robert, we need to get this information to Catherine. She needs to know what she's really up against. That's going to be challenging now that you've been removed from your position, Robert pointed out. They'll be monitoring all her communications and restricting her access to outside contacts. Marcus thought for a moment. I have an idea. But it's going to require some help from people we can trust completely. The next morning, Marcus implemented his plan. He contacted Dr. Collin, Emily Harrison, Catherine's longtime friend and personal physician. Dr. Harrison had been treating Catherine for minor health issues for several years and had regular access to the palace. Dr. Harrison, this is Marcus Thompson. I need to speak with you about a very urgent matter concerning Princess Catherine's safety. Dr. Hibb. Harrison agreed to meet Marcus that afternoon at her private clinic. When Marcus explained the situation, Dr. Harrison was shocked and angry. This is absolutely outrageous, Harrison said. Catherine is one of the most honest and dedicated people I know. The idea that someone would try to destroy her reputation with false accusations is despicable. Dr. Harrison, I need your help to get important information to Catherine. They're monitoring all her normal communication channels. Of course I'll help, Dr. Harrison replied without hesitation. Catherine scheduled a routine medical appointment for tomorrow afternoon. I can pass along whatever information you have. Marcus gave Dr. Harrison copies of the evidence that Robert had collected, along with a detailed letter explaining everything they had discovered. Please make sure Catherine understands that she's in real danger, Marcus emphasized. This isn't just about bad publicity. These people have significant resources and they're willing to destroy anyone who gets in their way. Dr. Harrison promised to deliver the information safely. As Marcus left the clinic, he felt a small sense of hope. Catherine would finally have the complete picture of what she was facing. But Marcus also knew that once Catherine received this information, the real battle would begin. The people behind this conspiracy wouldn't hesitate to escalate their attacks if they felt threatened. That evening, Marcus received a phone call from an unknown number. "Mr. Forecast, is this?" "Thompson," said a disguised voice. "You've been warned to stop interfering. This is your final warning." "Who is this?" Marcus demanded. "Someone who has your best interests at heart. Walk away from this situation and find a new job. Continue interfering and face the consequences." The line went dead. Marcus realized that his investigation was being monitored and that he was now a target himself. But Marcus had faced threats before. During his military and security career, he wasn't going to be intimidated into abandoning Catherine when she needed help most. Marcus spent the rest of the evening planning his next moves. He would need to be extremely careful and creative to continue helping Catherine while avoiding the people who were trying to stop him. The following afternoon, Dr. Harrison successfully delivered Marcus's information to Catherine during her medical appointment. Catherine's reaction was a mixture of shock, anger, and determination. Dr. Falancio. "Harrison," Catherine said after reading everything, "please tell Marcus that I'm grateful for his loyalty and sacrifice, and tell him that I'm not giving up without a fight. Dr. Jera?" Harrison relayed Catherine's message to Marcus that evening. Despite everything that had happened, Marcus felt encouraged by Catherine's resolve. "She's tougher than they think," Marcus told Robert during their next meeting, "but she's going to need all the help she can get." Robert nodded. "I've continued investigating the financial connections. I think we're close to identifying the main person behind this conspiracy." "Who do you suspect?" "Someone with direct access to Palace financial systems and close connections to the charity fund management companies. Someone who has a lot to lose if Catherine's investigation moves forward." As they talked, Marcus realized that they were approaching a critical moment. Soon, they would know exactly who was behind the attacks on Catherine. But that knowledge would also put them in greater danger. The underground network of people helping Catherine was growing, but so were the resources being used against her. The next few days would determine whether truth and justice would prevail, or whether corruption and power would succeed in destroying an innocent person. Marcus looked out the window at the lights of London and made a silent promise. No matter what happened to him personally, he would continue fighting for Catherine until the truth was revealed and justice was served. The battle was far from over, but Marcus was ready for whatever came next. Catherine was counting on him, and he would not let her down. Dr. Harrison's hands trembled slightly as she read the urgent message that had been slipped under her clinic door that morning. The message was brief but terrifying. Stop helping her or face professional destruction. 3 days had passed since she had delivered Marcus's information to Catherine, and already the threats were escalating. Someone was watching everyone connected to Catherine and trying to isolate her completely. Harrison immediately called Marcus from her secure office phone. "Marcus, they're threatening me now. Someone knows I helped Catherine." Marcus felt his heart sink. He had hoped to keep Dr. Harrison out of danger, but apparently their enemies were more thorough than he had anticipated.
Dr. Sidisea.
"Harrison, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to put you at risk." "Don't apologize," Dr. Harrison replied firmly. "I chose to help because it was the right thing to do, but we need to be smarter about how we communicate and coordinate our efforts." Marcus agreed. They needed to develop more secure methods of communication and support for Catherine. That afternoon, Marcus met with Robert Chen at a different location, a small bookshop in Camden where they could blend in with other customers. Robert had made significant progress in his investigation and had disturbing news to share. "Marcus, I've identified the key players in this conspiracy," Robert said quietly as they pretended to browse books. "It's bigger than we thought, and it involves some of the most powerful people in the royal household." Robert handed Marcus a folder disguised as a book. Inside were photographs, financial records, and communication transcripts that revealed the full scope of the plot against Catherine. The main architect appears to be Sir Geoffrey Winters, the Queen's deputy private secretary, Robert explained. He's been skimming money from royal charity funds for years, using a network of shell companies and fake vendors. Marcus studied the documents. The evidence was overwhelming. Sir Geoffrey had been stealing millions of pounds meant for children's charities and other noble causes. When Catherine started asking questions about charity fund management, she unknowingly threatened to expose his entire operation. Robert continued. So he convinced Queen Camilla that Catherine was the problem and needed to be investigated. Marcus felt sick as he realized the full extent of the deception. So Queen Camilla doesn't know the real truth either. Based on my investigation, I believe Sir Geoffrey has been feeding the Queen false information about Catherine while covering up his own crimes. The Queen genuinely believes she's protecting the monarchy from a scandal. This revelation changed everything. If they could prove that Sir Geoffrey had been manipulating Queen Camilla, they might be able to turn the Queen into an ally instead of an enemy. Robert, we need to get this evidence to the right people. But who can we trust with information this sensitive? Robert had been thinking about this problem. I have a contact at Scotland Yard's Financial Crimes Unit. Detective Inspector Sarah Collins specializes in complex fraud investigations. She has the authority and resources to investigate this properly. Marcus nodded. Set up a meeting. But we need to be extremely careful. If Sir Geoffrey learns that we're involving law enforcement, he might try to destroy evidence or harm Catherine directly. As they left the bookshop, Marcus noticed a man in a dark coat who seemed to be following them. They had been walking for several blocks, and the man maintained the same distance behind them the entire time. Robert, we're being followed, Marcus said quietly. Robert glanced back discreetly. I see him. Let's see if we can lose him. They ducked into a busy underground station and took a complicated route involving multiple train changes. After an hour of careful maneuvering, they were confident they had lost their tail. This confirms that they're watching our every move, Robert said as they emerged from the underground. We'll need to be extremely careful about when and where we meet. That evening, Marcus received a call from Jennifer Walsh. She sounded stressed and frightened. Marcus, something terrible has happened. Princess Catherine collapsed during a public appearance today. She's been taken to the hospital. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. What happened? Is she okay? They're saying it was exhaustion and stress, Jennifer replied. But Marcus, I'm worried it might be something more serious. There have been strange people around the palace all week, and Catherine has been acting like she doesn't feel well. Marcus's mind raced through the possibilities. Could someone have poisoned Catherine? Or was this the result of the enormous stress she had been under? Which hospital? Marcus asked. St. Mary's. But Marcus, they've restricted access to immediate family only. I can't even get in to see her. Marcus made a quick decision. Jennifer, I need you to contact Dr. Harrison immediately. Tell her what's happened and ask her to use her medical credentials to check on Catherine. After hanging up with Jennifer, Marcus called Robert to report this new development. This could be an attempt to isolate Catherine completely, Robert said. If she's hospitalized and sedated, she won't be able to communicate with anyone or defend herself. Or it could be a genuine medical emergency caused by the stress of everything that's been happening to her, Marcus replied. Either way, we need to make sure she's protected. 2 hours later, Dr. Harrison called Marcus with an update from the hospital. Marcus, I've examined Catherine, and her condition is consistent with severe stress and anxiety. Her blood tests are normal, so I don't think she's been poisoned. But she's extremely weak and emotionally exhausted. Were you able to speak with her privately? Yes, but only briefly. She asked me to tell you that she hasn't given up and that she still trusts you completely. She also said to be careful because she overheard some of the hospital staff talking about extending her stay indefinitely. Marcus felt alarm bells going off. Indefinitely? On what medical grounds? Thanks, that's what worries me, Harrison replied. There's no medical reason to keep her hospitalized for more than a day or two. But I overheard some administrators talking about orders from the royal household to keep her under observation. Marcus realized this was another part of the conspiracy. By keeping Catherine hospitalized and isolated, Sir Geoffrey could continue his attacks on her reputation while preventing her from defending herself. Harrison, can you help get Catherine out of there? I'm working on it, she replied, but I need to be careful not to raise suspicions. Give me 24 hours. The next morning brought another devastating blow. Marcus woke up to find his apartment had been broken into during the night. Nothing valuable had been stolen, but his personal papers had been searched and his computer was missing. Marcus immediately called Robert from a secure phone. "They're escalating," Marcus reported. "Someone wants to know exactly what we have and who we've been talking to." "My office was also broken into last night," Robert replied grimly. "But I had anticipated this possibility. All our important evidence is stored in a secure location they don't know about." "Good thinking. What's our next move?" "I've arranged a meeting with Detective Inspector Collins for this afternoon. It's time to bring in law enforcement before this situation gets any more dangerous." Marcus spent the morning preparing for the meeting with the detective. He reviewed all the evidence and organized it in a way that would clearly demonstrate the scope of Sir Geoffrey's crimes and the conspiracy against Catherine. At 2 o'clock that afternoon, Marcus and Robert met Detective Inspector Collins at a secure location in central London. D.I. Collins was a woman in her early 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Gentlemen," she began after they had made introductions, "Mr. Chen has briefed me on the general nature of your concerns. I need to warn you that making accusations against high-ranking royal officials is extremely serious business." "We understand the gravity of the situation," Marcus replied. "But we have substantial evidence of financial fraud and conspiracy that we believe you'll find compelling." Robert presented the evidence methodically, starting with the financial records showing Sir Geoffrey's theft from charity funds and progressing to the communications proving his role in the conspiracy against Catherine. D.I. Collins studied the documents carefully, asking detailed questions and taking extensive notes. After 2 hours of review, she looked up at Marcus and Robert with a serious expression. "This is indeed compelling evidence," she said. "If these allegations are true, we're looking at multiple serious crimes including fraud, conspiracy, and abuse of power." "What's our next step?" Marcus asked. "I need to verify this evidence through official channels and get authorization to open a formal investigation. That could take several days." "Detective Inspector," Marcus said urgently, "Princess Catherine is currently hospitalized and isolated. We believe she's in immediate danger from the people behind this conspiracy." D.I. Collins frowned. "What kind of danger?" Robert explained their concerns about Catherine being held in the hospital against her will and the escalating threats against everyone trying to help her. "I can assign protective surveillance to Princess Catherine in the hospital," D.I. Collins offered. "But I'll need to coordinate with Royal Protection Services." "Be very careful about who you trust," Marcus warned. "This conspiracy includes people within the Royal Protection System." D.I. Collins nodded grimly. "I understand. I'll use officers I trust completely." As the meeting concluded, D.I. Collins promised to move as quickly as possible while maintaining the integrity of the investigation. Marcus felt cautiously optimistic that they finally had professional law enforcement on their side. But as Marcus and Robert left the meeting, Marcus noticed the same man in the dark coat who had followed them before. Their enemies were still watching and still dangerous. That evening, Dr. Harrison called with good news. She had managed to get Catherine discharged from the hospital by arguing that continued hospitalization was detrimental to her mental health. "Where is she now?" Marcus asked. "I've taken her to my private clinic, Doctor," Harrison replied. "She's safe for now, but she can't stay here long without raising suspicions." "How is she feeling?" "Physically, she's recovering well. Emotionally, she's angry and determined. She wants to fight back against the people who are trying to destroy her." Marcus felt relief that Catherine was safe and still fighting. "Harrison, we've made contact with law enforcement. Detective Inspector Collins from Scotland Yard is opening an official investigation." "Thank God," Dr. Harrison replied. "Catherine will be so relieved to hear that help is coming." Marcus arranged to visit Catherine at Dr. Harrison's clinic that evening. When he arrived, he found Catherine looking tired but resolute. She hugged him when he entered the room. "Marcus, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done," Catherine said. "Harrison told me about the evidence you've gathered. Your Royal Highness, I'm just glad you're safe. But we're not out of danger yet." Catherine sat down and looked directly at Marcus. "I've been thinking about this situation constantly while I was in the hospital. I believe I know why Sir Geoffrey targeted me specifically." "What do you mean?" "6 months ago, I received a letter from a charity worker who was concerned about missing funds. I forwarded that letter to the Queen's Office for investigation. Sir Geoffrey must have intercepted it and realized that people were starting to notice his theft. Marcus nodded. This fit with the timeline of when the surveillance and investigation had begun. The charity worker who wrote to you. Do you remember her name? Margaret Foster. She worked for the Children's Hope Foundation. I tried to follow up with her a few weeks later, but I was told she had resigned suddenly and moved away. Marcus felt a chill. Catherine, what if Margaret did Foster resign voluntarily? What if something happened to her? Catherine's eyes widened with alarm. You think Sir Geoffrey might have threatened her too? Or worse, Marcus said grimly. We need to find Margaret Foster and make sure she's safe. Marcus immediately called Robert and asked him to begin investigating Margaret Foster's disappearance. If Sir Geoffrey had harmed the charity worker who had first exposed his crimes, it proved that he was willing to go to extreme lengths to protect himself. As the evening progressed, Marcus, Catherine, and Dr. Harrison discussed their options. Catherine insisted that she wanted to return to her public duties and continue fighting for the truth. I won't hide while my reputation is being destroyed, Catherine said firmly. The people deserve to know the truth about what's been happening. Marcus understood Catherine's frustration, but he was worried about her safety. Your Royal Highness, until we can prove Sir Geoffrey's guilt and expose the conspiracy, you're still in danger. Then we need to move faster, Catherine replied. How long before Detective Inspector Collins can make arrests? She estimated several days for the investigation, Marcus said, but that assumes she doesn't encounter resistance from people within the system who are protecting Sir Geoffrey. Dr. Harrison had been listening quietly, but now she spoke up. I have an idea. What if we went public with part of the story? If the media knows that an investigation is underway, it might provide some protection for Catherine. Marcus considered this suggestion. If we reveal too much too soon, Sir Geoffrey might destroy evidence or flee the country. But if we say nothing, he might escalate his attacks on Catherine. Dr. Rapport, Harrison pointed out. Catherine made the decision. We go public tomorrow. I'll call a press conference and announce that I've discovered financial irregularities in royal charity funds and that I've asked law enforcement to investigate. Marcus realized that Catherine was taking control of the situation and fighting back in the most public way possible. It was brave, but dangerous. If you're going to do this, Marcus said, we need to coordinate with Detective Inspector Collins and make sure you have proper security. Catherine nodded. Will you help me prepare for the press conference? Of course, Marcus replied. But Catherine, you need to understand that once you go public, there's no going back. Sir Geoffrey and his allies will do everything they can to destroy you. Catherine looked at Marcus with determination in her eyes. They've already tried to destroy me with lies and deception. Now it's time to fight back with the truth. As Marcus left the clinic that night, he felt a mixture of pride and fear. Pride in Catherine's courage and determination, and fear about what Sir Geoffrey might do when he realized his conspiracy was being exposed. The next day would bring the biggest battle yet in their fight for truth and justice. Marcus just hoped they would all survive what was coming. Unknown to Marcus and Catherine, Sir Geoffrey had already learned about their meeting with Detective Inspector Collins. One of his allies within the police had warned him about the investigation. Sir Geoffrey was now planning his final move to destroy Catherine before she could expose his crimes. The stakes had never been higher, and the danger had never been greater. The battle lines were drawn, and tomorrow would determine whether truth and justice would prevail or whether corruption and power would claim another victim. The morning of Catherine's planned press conference dawned with heavy rain and dark clouds over London. Marcus arrived at Dr. Harrison's clinic at dawn to find Catherine already awake and preparing her statement. I couldn't sleep, Catherine admitted when Marcus entered the room. I keep thinking about everything that's led to this moment. Marcus could see the weight of the situation in Catherine's eyes. She was about to stake her entire reputation and future on their ability to prove Sir Geoffrey's crimes. Are you absolutely certain you want to do this? Marcus asked. Once you make these accusations public, there's no turning back. Catherine looked at the statement she had been writing. Marcus, I've spent my entire adult life trying to serve the people and help those in need. If I stay silent while someone steals money meant for sick children, what kind of person does that make me? Marcus felt moved by Catherine's moral conviction. You're right, but we need to be prepared for Sir Geoffrey's response. He won't go down without a fight. As if summoned by their conversation, Marcus's phone rang. The caller ID showed Robert Chen's number. Marcus, Robert said urgently. We have a problem. I just received word that Sir Geoffrey has called an emergency meeting of senior royal officials for this morning. He's planning something big. What kind of meeting? My source says he's going to present evidence that Catherine has been having an inappropriate relationship with someone outside her marriage. He claims to have photographs and communications. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Are you saying he's planning to frame her for adultery? That's exactly what I'm saying. If he can convince the other officials that Catherine is morally compromised, he can destroy her credibility before she has a chance to expose his financial crimes. Catherine had been listening to Marcus's side of the conversation. What is it? She asked with alarm. Marcus explained Robert's warning. Catherine's face went pale, but her expression remained determined. Let him try, Catherine said firmly. Any evidence he claims to have will be fabricated. People who know me will recognize the lies. Marcus admired Catherine's courage, but he was worried about the damage false accusations could do to her reputation, even if they were eventually disproven. Robert, do we know what kind of fake evidence he's planning to present? Marcus asked. Apparently doctored photographs and fake text messages. My source says the quality is very convincing. Marcus realized they needed to act faster than planned. Robert, can you contact Detective Inspector Collins? We need to accelerate the investigation. I've already tried. She's in a meeting with her supervisors and can't be reached. Catherine stood up and walked to the window. We can't wait for others to save us. I'm calling the press conference for this afternoon before Sir Geoffrey's meeting. Catherine, that's incredibly risky, Dr. Harrison said. If you make accusations without having all the evidence ready, then I'll present what we have and let the public decide who to believe. Catherine replied. I'd rather fight with the truth than be destroyed by lies. Marcus made a difficult decision. I'll support whatever you choose to do, but if we're moving forward today, we need to contact Jennifer and see if she can provide any additional evidence from inside the palace. Marcus called Jennifer on a secure line that Robert had provided. Jennifer answered immediately. Marcus, thank God you called. Things here are chaos. Sir Geoffrey has been in meetings all morning, and there are people I don't recognize going through security files. Jennifer, we think Sir Geoffrey is planning to present false evidence against Catherine this afternoon. Can you access any of his communications or files? I can try, but Marcus, I need to be careful. They've already questioned me about my loyalty, and I think they suspect I've been helping you. Marcus felt guilty about putting Jennifer in danger. Don't take any risks that could harm your safety or career. Marcus, Jennifer said urgently, there's something else. Margaret Foster, the charity worker Catherine mentioned. I found a record of a meeting request she submitted 6 months ago, but there's also a death certificate filed 3 weeks ago. Marcus felt shock and horror wash over him. Margaret Foster is dead? According to the records, she died in a car accident. But Marcus, the timing is very suspicious. Catherine had been listening to the conversation. She sat down heavily, looking devastated. If Sir Geoffrey killed Margaret Foster to cover up his crimes, he's capable of anything, Catherine said quietly, including killing me. This revelation changed everything. They were no longer dealing with financial fraud and character assassination. They were dealing with murder. Jennifer, do not investigate this any further, Marcus said urgently. You're in real danger. Can you get out of the palace safely? I'll try. But Marcus, I found something else in Sir Geoffrey's office. A folder marked Final Solution with Catherine's name on it. Marcus felt ice in his veins. What was in the folder? Plans for Catherine's funeral arrangements. The silence that followed was deafening. Sir Geoffrey wasn't just planning to destroy Catherine's reputation. He was planning to kill her. Jennifer, get out of the palace immediately, Marcus said. Come to Dr. Flusk, Harrison's clinic, but make sure you're not followed. After ending the call with Jennifer, Marcus turned to Catherine. We need to contact Detective Inspector Collins immediately and arrange for your protective custody. No, Catherine said firmly. If I disappear into protective custody, Sir Geoffrey wins. He destroys my reputation with his fake evidence, and I can't defend myself. Catherine, he's planning to kill you, Dr. Harrison said. Your life is more important than your reputation. Catherine looked at both of them with resolve. My life isn't worth much if I can't live it with honor and dignity. I'm going forward with the press conference. Marcus realized that Catherine had made up her mind and nothing would change it. Then we need to make this the best press conference in history. We need to present our evidence so clearly and convincingly that no one will believe Sir Geoffrey's fake accusations. For the next 3 hours, Marcus, Catherine, and Dr. Jeff. Harrison worked together to prepare Catherine's statement. They organized all the evidence Robert had gathered, prepared answers to likely questions, and contacted trusted journalists to ensure good coverage. At noon, Jennifer arrived at the clinic looking frightened and exhausted. She had additional evidence from Sir Geoffrey's office, including financial records, showing payments to the people who had created the fake evidence against Catherine. This proves the conspiracy, Jennifer said as she showed them the documents. Every aspect of the attack on Catherine has been planned and paid for by Sir Geoffrey. Catherine reviewed the new evidence and incorporated it into her statement. This actually strengthens our case, she said. Now we can prove not just the original fraud, but also the conspiracy to frame me. At 1 o'clock, Marcus received a call from Robert with urgent news. Marcus, Sir Geoffrey's meeting has been moved up to 2 p.m. He's accelerating his timeline. Then we accelerate ours too, Catherine said when Marcus relayed this information. We call our press conference for 1:30. With less than 30 minutes to prepare, they contacted the journalists they had identified and arranged to meet at a hotel conference room near Dr. Harrison's clinic. As they prepared to leave for the press conference, Marcus felt the weight of everything that was about to happen. In the next few hours, either Catherine would successfully expose the conspiracy and clear her name, or Sir Geoffrey would destroy her with fake evidence and possibly succeed in having her killed. Whatever happens, Marcus told Catherine as they walked toward the hotel, I want you to know that I'm proud to have served as your protector. Catherine stopped walking and turned to face Marcus. You haven't just protected my life, Marcus. You've protected my integrity and my ability to stand up for what's right. That means more to me than you'll ever know. The press conference room was packed with journalists, cameras, and recording equipment. As Catherine took her place behind the podium, Marcus positioned himself where he could watch for any threats while also monitoring the reactions of the press. Catherine began her statement with calm authority. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to inform you about serious financial irregularities I've discovered in the management of royal charity funds. For the next 20 minutes, Catherine methodically presented the evidence of Sir Geoffrey's theft, explained how he had tried to silence her, and revealed the conspiracy to destroy her reputation with fake accusations. The room was completely silent as Catherine spoke. Marcus could see that the journalists were convinced by the evidence and moved by Catherine's obvious sincerity. When Catherine finished her prepared statement, the questions from journalists were respectful but thorough. She answered each one with facts and evidence, never resorting to personal attacks on Sir Geoffrey or anyone else involved. As the press conference concluded, Marcus felt cautiously optimistic. Catherine had presented her case powerfully, and the media response seemed positive. But as they left the hotel, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text message that made his blood run cold. She signed her own death warrant, tonight. Marcus showed the message to Catherine and Dr. Harrison. Catherine's face went pale, but her voice remained steady. Then we need to make sure I'm somewhere safe tonight. Where? Marcus asked. Sir Geoffrey has resources throughout the royal protection system. He knows about safe houses and security protocols. Harrison had an idea. My brother owns a small cottage in the countryside, about 2 hours from London. It's remote and private. Sir Geoffrey would never think to look there. Marcus thought this was their best option. Let's go there immediately. We can monitor the response to the press conference from a safe location. As they drove toward the countryside cottage, Marcus's phone rang constantly with calls from journalists, colleagues, and unknown numbers. The press conference was clearly having a major impact. Robert called with an update. Marcus, Sir Geoffrey's emergency meeting was cancelled. Apparently, several senior officials refused to attend after Catherine's press conference. That's good news, Marcus replied. What about Detective Inspector Collins? She's been authorized to make arrests. She's looking for Sir Geoffrey now, but he seems to have disappeared from the palace. This news was both encouraging and frightening. Sir Geoffrey's disappearance could mean he was fleeing the country, or it could mean he was preparing for a final desperate attack on Catherine. They reached Dr. Harrison's brother's cottage just as the sun was setting. It was a small, cozy house surrounded by fields and woods with no other buildings visible in any direction. As they settled in for what they hoped would be a safe night, Catherine turned on the television to watch the evening news coverage of her press conference. The lead story on every channel was Catherine's accusations against Sir Geoffrey. The evidence she had presented was being taken seriously by legal experts and royal commentators. "Public opinion seems to be on your side," Dr. Harrison observed as they watched the coverage. Catherine nodded, but Marcus could see she was still tense. "The battle isn't over yet. Sir Geoffrey still has allies and resources." As if to prove Catherine's point, Marcus's phone rang with a call from an unknown number. Against his better judgment, he answered it. "Chief Thompson," said Sir Geoffrey's voice, "I believe you have something that belongs to me." Marcus felt his heart rate spike. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I think you do. I want the woman who has been spreading lies about me. Deliver her to me, and I might let you live." "That's not going to happen," Marcus replied firmly. "Then you've chosen to die with her," Sir Geoffrey said calmly. "I know exactly where you are, and I'm coming to collect what's mine." The line went dead. Marcus looked at Catherine and Dr. Harrison with alarm. "He knows where we are. We need to leave immediately." But as they moved toward the door, Marcus saw car headlights approaching the cottage through the darkness. They were trapped. "Back door," Marcus said urgently. "We'll try to escape through the woods." As they ran toward the back of the cottage, Marcus heard cars stopping in front of the house. Multiple doors slammed, and heavy footsteps approached the front door. Catherine, Marcus, and Dr. Harrison slipped out the back door just as the front door was kicked in. They could hear voices inside the cottage as they ran toward the tree line. "Find them," Sir Geoffrey's voice commanded. "They can't have gone far." As they reached the edge of the woods, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from Detective Inspector Collins. "Arrest warrant issued for Sir Geoffrey. Location?" Marcus quickly replied with their location and the urgent message. "Under attack. Send help immediately." The next few minutes would determine whether they survived Sir Geoffrey's final desperate attempt to silence them forever. As they disappeared into the darkness of the woods, Marcus could hear their pursuers organizing a search. The final battle for Catherine's life was about to begin. The woods were pitch black as Marcus led Catherine and Dr. Harrison deeper into the forest. Behind them, they could hear Sir Geoffrey's men spreading out to search for them, their flashlight beams cutting through the darkness like deadly fingers. Marcus had received basic survival training during his military service, but leading two civilians through dark woods while being hunted by armed men was beyond anything he had experienced. Every snapping twig and rustling leaf seemed to echo like thunder in the silent night. "This way," Marcus whispered, guiding them toward what he hoped was a stream he had noticed during their drive to the cottage. If they could follow the water, it might lead them to a road or another house where they could find help. Catherine was moving quietly, despite wearing shoes that weren't designed for hiking. Dr. Harrison was keeping up well, but Marcus could hear her breathing becoming labored from the stress and exertion. After 20 minutes of careful movement through the woods, they heard the sound of running water ahead. Marcus felt relief as they reached a small stream that reflected what little moonlight penetrated the forest canopy. "We'll follow this downstream," Marcus whispered. "Water usually leads towards civilization." As they began walking along the rocky stream bed, Marcus's phone vibrated with an incoming call. The caller ID showed Detective Inspector Collins. Marcus answered quickly, speaking as quietly as possible. "D.I. Collins, we're being hunted in the woods near the cottage I sent you coordinates for." "We're en route," Collins replied. "ETA is 15 minutes. Can you stay hidden until then?" "We're trying, but they have multiple searchers with lights. We're following a stream away from the cottage." "Good thinking. Keep moving and stay on the line if possible." Marcus felt encouraged that help was coming, but 15 minutes felt like an eternity when being pursued by dangerous men in the dark. As they continued along the stream, they heard voices getting closer behind them. Sir Geoffrey's men were systematic in their search, and they were gaining ground. "There," Dr. Harrison whispered, pointing ahead. "Is that a light?" Marcus looked where she was pointing and saw a faint glow through the trees. As they got closer, they realized it was a small farmhouse with lights on in the windows. "If we can reach that house, we might be able to call for additional help, or at least find a defensible position," Marcus whispered. but as they approached the edge of the woods near the farmhouse, they heard a vehicle approaching on the road. Marcus pulled Catherine and Dr. Harrison behind a large tree as headlights swept across the area. The vehicle stopped near the farmhouse, and Marcus's heart sank as he recognized Sir Geoffrey's voice calling out, "And Mrs. Patterson? I'm Sir Geoffrey Winters from the royal household. We're looking for some dangerous fugitives who may be in this area." An elderly man's voice replied from the farmhouse. "We haven't seen anyone, sir. But if there are dangerous people about, perhaps we should call the police." "That won't be necessary." Sir Geoffrey replied smoothly. "We are working with law enforcement. If you see anything suspicious, please call this number." Marcus realized that Sir Geoffrey was trying to turn the local residents into part of his search network. They couldn't approach the farmhouse for help without risking the elderly couple's safety. As Sir Geoffrey's vehicle drove away, Marcus led Catherine and Dr. Harrison back into the woods. They needed to find another route to safety. "Marcus," Catherine whispered, "I need to rest for a moment. I'm sorry, but I'm not used to this kind of physical activity." Marcus looked around and found a small clearing surrounded by thick bushes, where they could stop without being easily seen. As they sat down on the damp ground, Marcus checked his phone for messages from Detective Inspector Collins. There was a new text. "Teams approaching your area. Look for blue flashing lights. We'll signal with 3 long blasts from car horns." Marcus showed the message to Catherine and Dr. Harrison. "Help is almost here. We just need to hold on a little longer." But as he finished speaking, they heard footsteps approaching their hiding spot. Marcus motioned for Catherine and Dr. Harrison to stay completely still as a man with a powerful flashlight walked past their location. The man stopped just a few meters away and spoke into a radio. "Section 3 clear. Moving to Section 4. As the man moved away, Marcus realized how close they had come to being discovered. Sir Geoffrey's searchers were being thorough and professional. Suddenly, they heard the sound of car horns in the distance. 3 long blasts, exactly as D.I. Collins had promised. Help had arrived. "That's the police signal," Marcus whispered. "We need to get to them without being seen by Sir Geoffrey's men." Marcus led them carefully through the woods toward the sound of the car horns. As they got closer, they could see blue flashing lights through the trees, but between them and the police cars, they could also see flashlights moving in their direction. Sir Geoffrey's men had heard the police arrival and were trying to intercept Catherine before she could reach safety. "We're going to have to run for it," Marcus told Catherine and Dr. Harrison. "When I say go, run straight toward the police lights. Don't stop for anything." Marcus waited until the searching flashlights were pointing in a different direction, then gave the signal, "Go." They broke from the cover of the woods and ran across an open field toward the police cars. Behind them, shouts erupted as Sir Geoffrey's men spotted them and gave chase. Catherine stumbled on the uneven ground, but Marcus caught her arm and helped her keep running. Dr. Harrison was keeping pace despite her exhaustion. The police officers saw them coming and ran forward to meet them. Marcus heard Detective Inspector Collins's voice calling out, "This way! We have you covered!" As they reached the safety of the police perimeter, Marcus looked back to see Sir Geoffrey's men stopping at the edge of the woods. They had realized they couldn't continue their pursuit with armed police officers present. Detective Inspector Collins quickly escorted Catherine, Marcus, and Dr. Harrison to one of the police vehicles. "Are any of you injured?" she asked immediately. "We're okay," Marcus replied, though he could see that Catherine was shaking from the adrenaline and stress of the chase. "Sir Geoffrey Winters is here with armed men," Marcus continued. "They were attempting to kill Princess Catherine." D.I. Collins spoke into her radio. "All units, we have confirmation of armed suspects in the woods. Proceed with extreme caution." As more police units arrived at the scene, Detective Inspector Collins took statements from Marcus, Catherine, and Dr. Harrison about what had happened at the cottage and during their escape. "This confirms our worst fears about Sir Geoffrey," D.I. Collins said after hearing their accounts. "He's moved beyond fraud and conspiracy to attempted murder." Catherine, who had been mostly quiet since reaching safety, finally spoke up. "Detective Inspector, what's the status of the investigation into the financial crimes?"